it's Sandra. Welcome to another episode of Asexualise, My Asexual Life. This is a pay to be for education about asexuality, so subscribe and hit that bell icon now. So yeah, in today's episode, I want to discuss, should your career be more important than a relationship? So as you know, this channel is focused on asexuality, and I cover dating, relationships, love, life, sex, and everything in between. And so I like to impart information and knowledge to you that might be helpful to you. Obviously, some asexuals do not want a relationship, and that is perfectly fine. You do not have to have a relationship. You can stay single forever, and there is a lot of power in being single. So should the people who are asexual, or whoever watches this channel, who are interested in a relationship, put a career before a relationship, or should they pursue a relationship? So as you know, if you've been following my channel for a while, I've been actively pursuing a relationship since 2014. Now this year I have finally given up actively pursuing a relationship on dating apps. I'm on a dating app detox. I've nearly been 2 months now. I did have a person who on Facebook dating, although I'm taking a break, I did have someone who accepted my friend request. It's not a friend request, it's like a friend connection on Facebook dating. I like them as a friend basically, but that was over 2 months ago. So I haven't responded to them because they haven't even bothered to write to me, but I did click into the app, but it's literally no one can see my profile, and I can't see any other people's profiles other than the people I matched with a long time ago. So I've not actually actively gone on there as such, only to see, and that was only a couple of days ago. I'm still on asexual dating sites. There's one Asexuality, and someone did actually friend request me on there who lives in the UK. Now I also use Asexuality for arranging meetups, for making friends on there. I don't just use it for dating. It's a long time since I've actually got a friend request on there. But the guy doesn't seem to like long messages anyway, so I haven't even been on there for, I think it's over a week, so he might have written me a message. But when a guy says I'm going to write you a message the next day, then doesn't bother, I'm just really not interested in that type of guy. It's either you stick to what you say you're going to do, or just, you know what I mean? It's just, yeah. So I had a guy approach me in my inbox through Facebook yesterday. So although I'm not active on dating apps anymore, so Bumble has been got rid of, and Facebook dating I am actually on take a break from permanently at the moment. I am in an Indian group. I've been in that group. It's a dating group on Facebook itself since April this year, and I still get guys in my inbox nearly every day from that group. So my post is very, very popular. I get a lot of likes. I get a lot of guys liking me and wanting, to take an interest in me. But I know a lot of those guys aren't good guys. I've even been warned by a couple of people in there. A lot of them are, just using people to get visas and other things. And so the majority of guys that actually are in that group and that approach me are in India. And I specifically say in my description in this group that of being asexual, what I want in a relationship, and that I want a guy, that I'm British and I'm looking for a guy in the UK. I even put it a few times within the comments that, are there any Indian guys actually in the UK in this group? And the majority of people are not in the UK, and the only ones I've got responding in the UK aren't good or suitable for me. And so, and it's very, very minimal, those guys, and they're just really, they're not suitable, they're not asexual, and they're really not suitable. And so, although I'm not active looking, I've still got Indian guys like in my inbox. I had at least 3 yesterday, but they don't read my bio, because I specifically say I'm in the UK, I want someone in the UK, but they don't care, you see. And that when I say to them, you're not what I'm looking for, the majority is saying, so what are you looking for? It's like it's written in the actual post that they saw me through. So that gets very annoying, very frustrating. And this is one of the problems I found with actual dating. There's a lot of issues that have happened over the years. A lot of the guys I come across are avoidance, which isn't actually a reflection of so much the me or the dating apps per se, but I actually follow a coach, a dating and relationships coach, who's been going for years, very, very experienced, very, very good guy. He always teaches how to get a healthy relationship without playing games, mind games, manipulation, those type of things. And so I really know he's really good. He's very expensive if you ever get one-to-one coaching with him. I looked into it once. It was like 4,000, not 400, 4,000 pounds. I'm like, I don't have that sort of money, like, at the moment. Like, yeah. So, but he is really, really good. He understands a lot of psychology, and, you know, he can work with a person to help them on their own kind of journey in life and healing past traumas and stuff like that. So he's really good. And he said that majority of people on dating apps are avoidant types. So if you've got an anxious personality type, like I have, for example, he didn't say me because we went. I wasn't in the comments having a discussion with him, but he said if you've got an anxious attachment style, then avoidance obviously are no good for you. They're the opposite. So an anxious person really needs reassurance, lots of communication, to talk things out. And in any healthy relationship, you have to have communication. You have to have someone who is going to be able to discuss and talk about all manner of things. That nothing's going to be off the table. They're not going to be saying to you, oh, we can't discuss that, or I don't want to talk about it. You don't want that type of person. You want someone who's you're able to easily speak to about anything and everything, and open up like communication dialogue. As someone who genuinely cares about you will do that. Someone who doesn't and is just using you won't want to actively engage in discussion or conversation with you. And avoidant types do tend to avoid problems and issues in any relationship or dating scenario. They will literally avoid it, lose contact with you, not make contact with you, not answer your questions, and this dating coach explained that a lot of these are on the dating apps because they're avoiding getting into a serious committed relationship. You know, they're just looking for hookups, the majority of people, which is true. A lot of them are looking for hookups. And so over the process of time since 2014, we're currently in 2022 when I'm filming this live at the moment, that's a long time. And to be honest, a lot of the time I've had a lot of heartache and pain over the years. I'm glad I've had the experience, in the sense that I think the dating and relationships that I've been pursuing, I think they have grown me as a person in some way. I think I've learned a lot about people, about guys, about relationships, about what a bad relationship looks like, about a healthy relationship looks like. And and obviously I watch a lot of dating and relationships advice. I study it. I've been studying it for quite a few years now. And it's very, very interesting. It's something that really fascinates me, and I always look to improve myself upon. No one's perfect. So you're never ever going to have a perfect person, a perfect partner, a perfect relationship. There's always going to be some disagreement or some type of disagreements, maybe some conflict, different ideology, different ideas. But the important thing is you can express it in a healthy way in which you both respect each other's differences. Or if it's something major, like on core values and beliefs, like, for example, one person is pro fox hunting, one person absolutely can't stand someone who fox hunts and thinks it's disgusting. I'm the latter, by the way. Then, you know what I mean? You might not be able to be together in a relationship, but you could be. I mean, I have family, which is no longer alive, that was actually into that. Older family. And I'm like quite against that. And one of my exes was actually into that years ago. And I'm like, oh my God, that's really difficult. So it is possible you could end up like accepting the other thing about someone, but it might be that you've got such strong views about animals, for example, that you really don't want that. I don't want that again. I really don't, but in life things do happen where you can have really big conflictions. One of my relatives, they are in a relationship with someone who's Muslim, and they go over to that parent's country. And they're not married, they don't have children, they do live together. So they're obviously not a typical, she's British and he's not, he's Tunisian. And so they live together and they don't have children and they're not married. So this kind of goes this is kind of different. It kind of goes against Muslim tradition, if you like, and she's much older than him, but his parents, sorry, she gets on really well with, and he gets on well with her dad as well. And when she goes over to his country, she, you know, they sacrifice an animal as part of their religion. And so my cousin doesn't like that, but she doesn't split up with her partner over it. She just doesn't participate or get involved in it or see it. I personally would find that really difficult, because I think doing that type of thing is really disgusting. But I'm trying to show you in ways that you could have very different ideology and still be together if you wanted to. So I know this video is all about career, and I'm going to get onto that, but I'm talking about dating relationships so you can see the contrast. Like, is it worth pursuing dating relationships as opposed to your career? Or should we do both? Right. So, you know, two people with different ideology can work, but it depends how strong the feelings and emotions are about it. If every time you see that person, something they do causes a lot of hatred and resentment within you, then no, you can't be with that person in a relationship, because it would just drive a wedge between you. I have been in scenarios years ago where I was in a relationship and the guy was doing stuff that was completely against my morals and my ethics and my values. And it just built up a lot of anger, a lot of kind of hatred and negative feelings within myself. And it's like I had to put up those feelings in the sense if I was going to still be with that person, you know, because either I said to them, look, I'm not happy with you doing this and I can't be in a relationship with someone like this. So it's up to you. If you continue to do that, then I need to go. Or, you know, I just say, look, this isn't for me, and go. Or I accept it. But if you don't like something, if you really, really hate it, it's kind of putting up with it, and that can build up negativity in your body. So when you're looking to get into a relationship, you need to be thinking about your needs, and you need to be thinking, obviously you've got to take into account the other person's needs, but you need to be thinking your morals, your values, your ethics. You know, is this person your friend? You cannot have a healthy, serious, committed relationship without it having a foundation of good, honest, true, loving, caring friendship, right? If you are just basing your relationship on attraction, where that's aesthetic attraction and you don't experience sexual attraction, or you're someone who watches my show who does experience sexual attraction, you know, you can't have that as a sole foundation, because what happens in any relationship is you go what you call usually through the honeymoon period. This is where in the beginning everything's exciting, people are usually on their best behavior within the relationship and dating scenario. Usually doesn't always work like that. My experience of actual dating over the last year is not like that. But in traditional stereotypical fashion, if you like, when you get into a relationship, and I have seen this happen to other people, and I do know it happened to me before, is when you get into a relationship, it's kind of like, oh, people are on their best behavior. People are so loved up, if you like. They're so having these hormonal feelings flying everywhere. It's all exciting. It's all new. And you kind of like are really kind of like into each other. And you wear rose tinted glasses where all you usually see is the really best bits of that person. And so that makes you just really want to spend time with them, want to be with them, want to have affection with them, want to really get to know them a lot better. And you kind of like really, really put them on a pedestal. Maybe they're very so important to you. But if as time goes on, you cannot talk to that person about problems and issues, if they avoid things you say, if they decide to stop messaging you as much, stop spending as much time with you, no one's arranging dates anymore, no one's actually making plans to see each other anymore, no one's even keeping up effective communication anymore, this is when things start to go very, very downhill, and it can be a miserable, miserable life. And if you are actually in a relationship with someone who you consider to be your bestest friend, hi Liam, hi sweetheart Sandra, nice to see you, lots of love. if you are with someone who you consider to be your bestest ever friend, then you will, I know I've got best friends, right? So I have to make a disclaimer here. I already have best friends. So if I get into a relationship, it will be like having another best friend. I will not replace my other best friends. Very important. Don't do that. Always keep your friends. But obviously you do have to make some time for a partner if they come into your life. You can't just spend time with your friends and not spend any time with your partner. You know, you have to get a balance right. It's very important. But never give your friends up. They are lovely. And you need your friends in case you split up and things go wrong, right? You'll need your friends. Thanks for the thumbs up. Lots of love to you. So, you know, you need to get a balance. But, you know, what I'm getting at is when you first get into a relationship, it's all the excitement and everything else. Once that wears off, the honeymoon period wears off, anything from 3 months to 2 years, this can be, or you could see it dramatically declining even after 3 months or semi-declining. If you haven't got that person as your best friend, a best friend to you, a romantic best friend if you like, or queer platonic best friend, a best friend, a relationship best friend, if they are not your best friend, then the relationship will suffer later on down the line and you won't be so invested in it. You get invested in a relationship when the person you're in a relationship with means the world to you. Like they are really high up on your list of priorities normally and naturally. Like it's someone that you would normally speak to a lot, message a lot, communicate with a lot, and you've grown in effective communication over the years so that you have already a strong foundation of being healthy together. It's like you wouldn't want that person to go from your life. When you're both feeling and thinking that way, then you're both more likely to put time, energy, and effort into making it work and fostering a healthy relationship. And if something goes wrong, you'll be able to talk to that person. It's not always easy. Don't get me wrong. It's not always easy, especially if you come from a background where conflict is very difficult for you to deal with. And you're not very assertive, and maybe you're very blunt. Sometimes, you know, it cannot always be easy, but you will want to do that because you'll want to not lose that person as your friend, let alone in a relationship. A lot of people get afraid to get into a relationship with someone who's a friend in case they lose them as a friend. But the person you get into a relationship with should be your friend already. They should be someone who you are invested in as a friend, who you want to spend time with, who you want to share your dreams and hopes and ambitions with, someone who you feel comfortable around and familiar around. Because once the initial relationship stage phases away of all the kind of like excitement that originally comes with it and rose tinted glasses, you're going to need to have a strong foundation there of understanding, of deep trust, deep love for one another, deep honesty, deep communication, right? It's no good just going to someone on a dating site or dating app and just expecting that person to be the one for you when you haven't built up a friendship first. Obviously, if you're on a dating site and you've been talking to someone for months, that's different. But if it's someone that's just come into your life and you barely know each other, and maybe you've got a lot of physical chemistry, this doesn't have to be sexual, by the way. You could have aesthetic chemistry where you are both so interested in each other aesthetically that you really want them in an aesthetically pleasing, I want to be close to you now. So some people don't realize that just because you don't experience sexual attraction doesn't mean to say you don't experience other forms of attraction. And some of those forms of attraction can give you still a very physical chemical reaction because you are kind of getting your dopamine fix from what you're attracted to and how you're attracted to it. Like, for example, you could have intelligence attraction. You could be an asexual who has that, or you could be a sapiosexual. Some people believe sapiosexual is actually on the asexual spectrum. So sapiosexual is someone who can only, well, actually a sapiosexual is someone who experiences attraction through an intelligent conversation and connection, and they find someone intelligent. Now, the reason some people put it in the asexuality spectrum, as in the grey asexual, is because I'm guessing they think that that person can only be attracted to someone when intelligence attraction is formed. I would beg to differ from that, in the sense that I don't think their attraction is having to be based solely on intelligence. But I have yet to still explore that. I mean, I'm not sapiosexual, I'm sapio-asexual, but I've still yet to gain more knowledge and experience of other people who are sapiosexual. I know someone who's demisexual, who I believe is sapiosexual as well. Again, that's still on the grey asexuality spectrum. So I'm not saying it's not on the grey asexuality spectrum. It seems to be getting more and more into the asexual community now. But when I first came across it, I didn't think it was an asexual term, because the people I knew still experienced sexual attraction. It's just that they experienced it more and wanted to be with a person specifically that they got intelligently stimulated by and connected with. But I think they still experience sexual attraction, not just for the person they are intelligently attracted to. But I am still happy to be open to learning more about that. So I'm sapio-asexual, so I get very attracted to people who only guys that I find very intelligent. Now, this is subjective. What one person finds intelligent, another person might not. Someone might find someone intelligent who's good at Mensa, for example, who's got a really high IQ. I find a guy who talks about website design, coding, business, I find that highly intelligent. And that would make me more drawn to the person. So if I got into a relationship, for example, with a guy who is speaking really intelligent at the beginning, talking to me about business stuff, talking to me about website design, coding, all that type of stuff, and then all of a sudden as the relationship progressed, he stopped doing that, and he was just talking about like general stuff like maybe video gaming, television programs, and that's all he talked about. He didn't talk about that intelligent stuff anymore. That would be some of my attraction lost for him in that way, because it's like you're not giving me any intelligence and any intellectual conversation anymore. And I would kind of probably maybe get bored, if I'm honest, because I do need someone who is intelligent. I can't be with someone who just talks about other stuff. But of course, I love movies. I don't game myself, but I'm happy for the guy to talk about gaming. I'm happy for him to talk about other things. But for me, if the intelligence is not there at all, or he did it in the beginning of the relationship and then just stopped, I would be thinking, what the hell's going on? So with someone I'm looking to get into a relationship with, I do have different forms of attraction, some for different guys, and some is very important to me to have in a long, sustainable relationship. Others aren't so essential for me. So when you're looking to get into a relationship, you need to be factoring all these things in, and you need to understand that someone needs to be your best friend first of all before actually get into a relationship, or you need to foster the greatest friendship within that relationship. But usually it's before you get into a relationship, so that you know you've got a solid foundation there and you're not getting all these chemicals flying around when you're just excited and everything, and that's what's forcing you to get together, pushing you to get together, right? Which is not sustainable. It's not sustainable, right? So and a guy who talks about, or any gender talks about you in their future, they want a future with you. A guy who doesn't bring you into his future is not interested in you. They're only interested in using you for the now, so do not fall for that, right? So anyway, so if we consider getting into a relationship, for example, in terms of relationship versus career, if you are getting into a relationship or want a relationship, you have to put some priority into that relationship. You can't get into a relationship then be so busy working that you do not make time for that person, right? That is not healthy. So if you're a person who's very, very career focused, and that's all your life is pretty much, you have to understand, if you're looking to get into a relationship, you have to be making some time for that person. You still have to be prioritizing that person, because a relationship is like a plant. If you do not water it regularly, it dies, right? So you can't be just working all the time and not have time for someone. You have to make time every day for them, like message them, call them, something like that. Every day you should be in contact and communication with that person. Obviously, if you live together, you might already be in contact and communication. You could be on different shifts. You still have to maintain a relationship, right? So in my personal experience throughout the dating relationships, I'm glad that I've done the dating scenario and I've been looking for someone for years, but it did cause a lot of heartache and pain for me. It was quite traumatic for me, some of the stuff, and I hadn't met the right guy for me during that time. And so I decided a couple of months ago, or well, just under a couple of months ago now, on the 25th of July 2022, that I was no longer going to have dating apps like the Bumble installed. I was no longer going to be active on Facebook dating, which I stopped before that anyway. And I was going to take a dating app detox. Now, during that time that I decided to do that, I'm like, well, what am I going to fill the rest of my time with to take my mind off dating? Because when you're on dating apps, it's very addictive. Right, it is very addictive, especially if you're serious about finding someone, or in the cases of a lot of people, hooking up, right? I'm not interested in hooking up, but if you're looking to pursue someone or even hook up, it becomes quite a big focus. And, you know, people use social media because a lot of the time to connect with other people, to socialize, especially if they go out much, but also the dopamine that you get from someone sending you a message. It's like, oh, I got a message, you know. It's quite exciting, especially if it's like someone that you really like the look of or sound of, and it's like, oh, I've got it, you know. And that constant dopamine is constantly kind of like seeping into you, and you're getting a fix. It's like being addicted to a drug. And so you've got to be very careful of how addictive it can be. Like, obviously, if you're genuinely serious about finding a relationship, then you do need to be on dating apps, dating sites, and trying to do whatever you can, going out socializing, and, you know, for in-person meetups and stuff like that. You need to be going to doing all these things if you're looking to get into a relationship. I would probably argue that if you pay for dating sites, probably you're more likely to find someone who's serious than someone who's just doing it for free, although I was serious and doing it for free. As an asexual person, it's very difficult if you're looking for a relationship, because the majority of people want sex. And if you're an asexual person who's sex positive and happy to have it, then that's fine. But if you're a sex repulsed asexual like me, it can make it a lot more difficult. So I found it very difficult over the years, because obviously I was attracted to guys who weren't right for me, or avoidant, or just wanted different things in a completely different country, and you know, just wasn't suitable for me. And you know, like I've always believed I have a soulmate from a past life, Indian. That hasn't actually changed. I don't think I'm wrong about that. I trust my intuition on that, but that's not important for me anymore. That's a really big thing for me to say. Now, I'm not saying it's not important at all, but it's not important anymore compared to my career. So this is how we're getting on to career now. So I had an Indian guy in my inbox yesterday, because although I'm off Facebook, you know, taking permanent take a break from Facebook dating, I've uninstalled Bumble. Like explained earlier on in this video, I am actually still, there's one post I put in a dating group on Facebook back in April. I still get people regularly interested in me through that, Indian guys. And because it's an Indian group predominantly. And basically this guy messaged me to say, have you found a good Indian guy for you yet? And I said, no. And he's like, why do you think that is? I said, because they don't match my needs. And he's like, oh, exactly. And, you know, and I've had this type of guy come in my inbox before, and they're usually up to no good. And he asked me I told him a while ago, we are not suitable. I need a guy in the UK. This guy's an older Indian guy in India. I don't know how many more times I have to keep saying I need a guy in the UK. If I'm getting into a relationship, I want an Indian guy in the UK, not in India. One who's permanently in the UK as well, because I got someone messaging me yesterday going, I'm in the UK. I said, well, that's not what your profile says. It says you're in India. And I'm looking for a guy who's permanently in the UK, who wants to stay here permanently. Right? That's what I'm actually looking for in terms of relationship, right? So when they talk to me, I do still act like I want a relationship in that sense. But there was a major difference yesterday, is when this Indian guy came back, who I said wasn't suitable, this older Indian guy, and he said, you know, like, I told him that, you know, a good, you know, why haven't you found a good Indian guy? Because they're not suitable. I've got different needs. And he started saying, oh, about being friends. I said, we're not suitable. I've already told him this. And I said, my career, I'm pursuing my career now, which is more important. And that was a huge deal to me, because I've never ever said that I can recall since 2014 that my career is more important than me finding a relationship with an Indian guy. I don't think I've ever said that. I can't remember ever saying that. And if you're new to this channel, you're like, why Indian guys? It's just because I have my top attractions for Indian guys. And I believe intuitively I have been with one in a past life. That's the way it is, right? I just know it. I just feel at home when I'm around in Indian groups talking to Indian guys. There's something very familiar, like I'm home. I just know that instinctively. That's never going to change. I don't think that ever change. And yes, I believe I have someone for me. But it's not important for me anymore to find that guy for a relationship. Right now, I'm not interested. Oh, well, I'm not saying I'm totally not interested, because I do have an interest. But I would put myself in the category of I'm no longer actively seeking anymore, and my career is more important to me right now, at this minute, and for the foreseeable probably couple of years. So that is a big deal for me. If you follow this channel and you understand my history, you'll know how big that is for me. It's a huge shift in my mindset, in my feelings, in my emotions. And I was talking to you a short time ago about the fact that, dating apps can get very addictive. And I was like, what am I going to do with all the time that I was spending on dating apps? Because I spend like 1 to 4 hours sometimes a night on them, and that is a lot of time. And, and it's kind of wasting your life away if you're not getting any type of like good things out of it very much anymore. And so I'm glad I've had the experience, but it's like I've got enough experience of that now. I find the whole thing very damaging, very upsetting, very anxiety inducing, and I don't want that anymore in my life. I'm not interested in that anymore. And so for me now, my career currently is actually more important than me finding a relationship with an Indian guy. So if you are going to get into a relationship, you have to make your partner a priority in your life. You can't put your career over your partner and expect to have a healthy, happy relationship. You can't have a relationship where you're like, okay, so I'm so busy in my career now, but I can't talk to you. I can't speak to you. I don't have time with you. I can't even make 5 minutes for you. I'm too tired. If you knew how much I have to do every single day, right, and I have a disability, you'd be pretty shocked at how much stuff I am doing. Behind the scenes, you probably don't realize, but I'm just constantly doing stuff. When I'm not sleeping, I'm constantly like doing stuff. I'm redoing one of my an old blog from 2010. I'm redoing like the about pages at the moment, my quirkybooks.wordpress.com blog. And so, I haven't updated them for a long time. I need to update some of my Asexualise.com site as well. And I've got other things I've got to be doing, I've got to get back to write my Asexual Guide to Sex book, but I'm kind of like finishing other things off. And so, it's a really like massive deal for me to actually have shifted now from, yes, I'm no longer actively pursuing or looking for an Indian guy for a relationship full on like I used to. My career is more important to me as a priority. I do still have an interest in Indian guys. I do want to go to Bollywood party. I do want to get Indian guy like connections and friends more, because like I said, you cannot be in a relationship with anyone you're not friends with first anyway. So unless I ever meet someone who is really genuinely into me and cares about me, who's Indian, then I just don't see me being in a relationship. And I don't actually want a relationship at the moment. I'm very happy on my own, pursuing my career. And, if you are a person who hasn't really fulfilled their goals, ambitions and dreams and career yet, and you feel that's most important to you at the moment, then you should go for that. But what I would say is, do not prioritize a career over a relationship if you're in one, right? That's very important. So if you're going to prioritize your career, I would say don't actively pursue a relationship. Don't look for one, because you need to put all your time, energy and effort into that career. Only when that's stable, you've kind of got to the level you need to get to, and you feel that you have enough space in your life for having someone else there, and that you can fully commit to them should you go for a relationship. You shouldn't put someone on the back burner and use them as and when you like, when you've got a career and your career is more important. Do you understand what I mean? So if you are in a relationship, your career and your relationship should both be important, but you shouldn't put your career above a relationship, but you shouldn't lose your career at the same time if it's a really good, important career to you, right? But you do have to prioritize the relationship. To a certain extent, you have to make it a priority because you have to maintain and sustain it, right? So I would say that if your career is the most important thing to you right now, then don't pursue a relationship, right? You might end up in a relationship through pursuing your career, which if that happens and you can make that person a priority in your life as well, that's great. But do not sacrifice your goals, ambitions and dreams in pursuit of a relationship and then never achieve them because you're too busy bothered trying to chase something that isn't working anyway, or you haven't got yet, or you might never get. I might be single forever and that's okay. I actually am really good at being single. I feel a lot more calm, a lot less anxiety induced, a lot better emotions, and I don't know how I had time to date now, because when I was initially thinking, right, I've got to fill that time that I would usually be dating, I've got to fill that time up, otherwise, I might start going back on dating apps and sites. Then, it's just a case of like, now I don't know how I had time to date. I've got too much stuff to do. I feel I'm playing catch up from things I neglected months and years ago, even because, maybe years is a bit much, but yeah, it is years really, because I've got all this stuff that I had to like change my environment. I still haven't completely finished off what I needed to do. But you know what I mean? It's kind of like I've been changing my life, changing my environment. And, it's kind of like 2009 since I last changed my office around. But the time I was dating, I could be using that time effectively to do that then. It's a big task. So I just didn't think about it. And I've still got some stuff down there that I need to sort down on my floor there. But it's much better than it was. So it's good. But yeah, so I finally decided that my career is more important to me. I said that out loud in a message to someone. And I just feel it's much better because these type of guys that come in and go, oh, why? It's like there's something wrong with me. It's like, no, there's nothing wrong with me. I'm asexual. I'm different. And I expect to get a quality guy for me because I'm a quality girl. I expect to get someone who values my worth because I'm worthy of that. And unless and until that guy comes along, I'm not interested. And I'm much happier and calmer just pursuing my career. It fosters really positive emotions in me. It makes me feel highly productive. It makes me get excited to get out of bed in the morning. It makes me feel like, like I'm striving for something for myself, because I can't control and we can't control what other people do. We can't do that. And so if you are always kind of looking for a relationship that's not happening, you're kind of investing your emotions in something that's not there. Whereas if you can invest your emotions, time, energy and effort into your career and things you love to do and pursue, then it's just a lot more satisfying and fulfilling because you're getting something back. You're getting something back. You're getting knowledge, skills, experience, and you're just able to give and able to do stuff. I like to have a life full of doing stuff because when I do stuff, it makes me feel so much better because I'm actively in life rather than just watching it pass me by. I'm just, like actually being active in life. And that's what life's all about, being proactive, productive, enjoying life, fostering positive emotions and living for yourself. There is nothing wrong with living for yourself, putting yourself first, putting your goals, ambitions and dreams first. But just don't do it at the expense of yourself. When you pursue your goals, ambitions and dreams, don't do it at the expense of other people, right? You don't want to get into being a horrible person where you just do it at the expense of other people or the expense of your own self. You want to be doing things for the greater good, living with purpose and passion and living with satisfaction and fulfillment that is good for you and good for the world. I hope you've liked this live stream. Pop a thumbs up if you do. Pop a comment down below. Love to know what you think of this episode. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already and hit that bell icon so you never miss an episode. And if you didn't already know, I'm the author of Asexual Perspectives on Amazon and also Fibromyalgia Self-Help Handbook. So go and grab your copies of those on Amazon. I'll see you in the next video or live stream. Take care. Lots of love. Bye. Thank you, Liam. Thanks for everyone else for being here. Lots of love. Bye.